I worked the front desk at an Amsterdam hotel. An American couple checked in and immediately asked where they could find normal coffee. I pointed to our espresso bar. The wife shook her head. No, like regular American coffee. You know, freedom coffee. I told her we had filter coffee. She said, that's European coffee. We want the real stuff. Her husband nodded. We brought our own Folgers just in case Europe didn't have freedom yet. They asked if our outlets worked with American plugs or if Europe uses communist electricity. When I explained they needed an adapter, the wife said, so you are on a different system. That's what I thought. European electricity is probably weaker. I showed them the voltage converter instructions. The husband read it and said, 240 volts? That's unsafe. America uses 120 because it's safer. You guys just use more to make up for inefficiency. It plugged in their coffee maker anyway. It exploded. He blamed European unstable power grids. By the way, if you appreciate stories that cut through the surface and expose the logic behind these culture clashes, you'll want to stick around. Subscribing makes sure this level of reality doesn't slip past you. My coworker in Paris had an American tourists demand to speak regular English because her French accent was making English sound wrong. Guy in Berlin refused to pay in euros because dollars are stronger and more universally accepted. Moments made me realize something. Americans don't just visit Europe. They arrive expecting it to run on American rules. If that clicked for you, if you're catching these patterns, most people miss this is the community you belong in. Hit subscribe and stay ahead of the culture. Shock curve. I'm a waiter in Oslo. An American family finished dinner and left no tip. Normal here. But they came back an hour later looking panicked. The dad marched to my station and pushed a $20 bill at me. I forgot your tip. Here. I explained we don't tip in Norway, services included. He stared at me. What do you mean you don't tip? How do you make money? I told him we get paid full wages. He pulled the 20 back. So you're saying you make decent money without tips? I nodded. His wife interrupted. That's socialism. They're forced to pay you, the dad said. In America, tipping is freedom. UARN. Your service. I explained our system works fine. He shook his head. But what if you give bad service? There's no incentive. Told him we have job standards. He looked disgusted. So the government controls your income? That's exactly what I thought about Europe. He left the 20 anyway, explaining. Someone needs to teach you about free markets. He wrote a blog post titled, How Norway's Anti-Tipping Laws Suppress Workers. I manage a supermarket in Munich. An American couple couldn't figure out our cart system. You insert a euro coin. It unlocks the cart. You get the coin back when you return it. Simple. The husband tried to just take a cart. It didn't release. He yanked harder. I walked over to help. He said, your carts are locked. That's theft prevention, right? Because Europe has crime problems? I explained the coin system. His wife said, so you have to pay to shop? That's a shopping tax. I demonstrated. Coin in, cart out, return cart, coin back. The husband said, that's the most communist thing I've ever seen. Making people leave deposits on carts? I told him it encourages returns so carts don't fill the parking lot. He scoffed. In America, we have freedom. If I want to leave my cart in the lot, that's my right. That's what workers are for. His wife nodded. This is why America invented convenience. They asked if they could pay the euro and keep the cart as a freedom souvenir. When I said no, the husband muttered about European control systems. They left the cart in the parking lot anyway. It rolled into a BMW. I'm a pharmacist in Stockholm. An American tourist brought me a handwritten note from his doctor back home listing medications he needed. No prescription, just a note. I explained he needed a Swedish prescription. He said, I have a prescription. You're holding it. I told him it had to be from a Swedish or EU doctor. He pulled out his phone. I can call my doctor right now. He'll tell you it's real. I explained that wasn't how it worked. He needed to see a local doctor. He said, I have American insurance. That's international. I told him he still needed a Swedish prescription for controlled medications. He raised his voice. This is medication I take every day. Are you saying Sweden wants me to suffer? I offered to direct him to a clinic. He said, I shouldn't need a clinic. I already have a doctor. This is what happens with socialized medicine bureaucracy kills people. His wife suggested they call the American embassy. He did. The embassy told him to see a Swedish doctor. He left shouting, in America, we don't need permission to be healthy. I'm a conductor on the Warsaw-Krakow Express. An American boarded without a ticket is planning to buy one from me. Standard. But when I told him the price, he said that's more than online. Explained on-board tickets cost extra. He said that's a scam. You're charging me more because I'm American. I told him everyone pays more on board and encourages advanced booking. He folded his arms. I'm not paying a penalty for supporting your economy last minute. That's punishing spontaneity. Said he could get off at the next stop and buy online, then catch another train. He laughed. I'm already on the train. Possession is 9/10 of the law. That's American legal precedent. I explained he'd be fined if he didn't pay. He said, sue me. I'll be back in America before your slow European courts process anything. I called ahead to station security. When we arrived, 2 officers escorted him off. He shouted, this is what tyranny looks like. He tried to film it as a freedom of movement violation. The officers didn't care. He paid the fine plus the ticket. Complained on social media about Polish train communism. I'm a server at a traditional restaurant in Kyoto. An American couple ordered beef bowls. The rice came in separate bowls, as it always does. The husband called me over. We ordered beef bowls. You brought us beef plates and rice bowls. That's 2 separate dishes. I explained the rice comes separately. He said, then why is it called a beef bowl? I told him that's just the name the beef goes on rice, but they're served separately for presentation. His wife said, in America, a bowl means everything's in the bowl. This is false advertising. The husband nodded. We're paying for a beef bowl. We expect a bowl. I offered to bring 1 large bowl so he could combine them himself. He said I shouldn't have to fix my own food. That's the chef's job. I went to the kitchen. The chef was confused, but complied. I brought out the beef and rice mixed in 1 bowl. The husband looked at it. Now it's all mixed together. I can't separate the flavors, his wife agreed. This is why American dining is superior. We give people choices. They left 1 star. Reviews said, Japan doesn't understand bowl architecture. I'm a bike courier in Amsterdam. An American tourist was walking in the bike lane, blocking traffic. I rang my bell. He didn't move. I rang again. He turned and yelled, stop harassing me. I said, this is a bike lane. He said, it's a public street. I can walk where I want. I pointed to the bike symbols painted every few meters. He said, those are suggestions. In America, we have freedom of movement. I told him he was going to get hit. He said then bikes should slow down. Pedestrians have right of way. Dozen cyclists were backed up behind me now, ringing bells. He spread his arms. This is tyranny. You're all bullying me for walking. A woman on a cargo bike shouted in English, get out of the bike lane. He shouted back, make me. She rode around him, inches away. He stumbled onto the sidewalk and screamed, that's assault. He tried to flag down a police officer. The officer told him to stay out of bike lanes. He said, what about my rights? The officer said, you have the right to use the sidewalk. He filmed himself explaining how Amsterdam suppresses pedestrian freedom, posted it with the caption, the Netherlands hates walking. I'm the manager at a luxury hotel in Dubai. An American businessman checked in for a week-long conference. First morning, he came to breakfast in shorts and a tank top. I gently mentioned our dress code requested resort casual attire in dining areas. He said, I'm on vacation. I'll wear what I want. I explained this was company policy. He said, I'm American. We invented Casual Friday. This is resort wear. I told him guests had complained. He laughed. Complained about shorts? What is this? The 1950s? I offered to have staff bring him complimentary trousers. He refused. I'm not changing because uptight Europeans can't handle freedom. I reminded him he was in Dubai. He paused. Same thing. Oil money. European management. Security escorted him back to his room. He changed, but spent the week telling other guests about clothing fascism in the Middle East. On checkout, he demanded a refund for discrimination against American comfort culture. I declined. He wrote a review, "Hotel hates freedom and shorts." He gave us 2 stars. One for the bed, one for the AC. His final line would be 5 stars in America. Working hospitality abroad, you see the same pattern. Americans arrive expecting the world to operate on American logic. When it doesn't, they don't adapt. They double down. They're not trying to be difficult. They genuinely believe their way is universal, and everywhere else is just behind. If you want next week's episode breaking down how Americans react when healthcare abroad doesn't play by American rules, subscribe now. Missing it would be like showing up overseas expecting your coffee to come with freedom. What's your wildest cross-cultural confusion story? Comment below. And if you've worked with American tourists abroad, you know there's more. Hit subscribe. Next week, we're covering Americans discovering that medical bills exist everywhere. They're just hidden in taxes. Trust me, the reactions